How did you get a house for free? If you could take us through this.
I got it. The seller getting a divorce, she no longer can afford her payment. So instead of falling behind on payments and basically losing her house, she said, look, I only now have one income. My husband's gone. I need to get rid of my house. The problem is they had just refinanced it the year before that. So how much equity do you think they had? None. So they met with real estate agents. This happens all the time. So anybody on your show that wants to learn how to get these leads, go to expired listings and you'll find out people that couldn't sell through a real estate agent, that the wholesalers, couldn't buy because there's no equity. That's how we all make money on wholesale. And so we got her through a cold call lead. And
that's an example of how real estate can provide a free house. But how did these guys pace over 200 deals last year? And Jamil, I think he said over 700 deals last year. How did these guys do it from Phoenix, Arizona? Stand by. Let's get it.
Flip man, it's the flip man. You want some money in your hand? Flipping houses without credit or your cash. Get that bag.
Hello guys, this is Ty, aka the Flip Man, and this is a educational expedition that I'm on that you guys will be able to peek over my shoulder with my man Pace and Jamil out of Phoenix, Arizona.
How you
talking about guys out here getting it? Wow. Just a little backstory here. I was doing some research on owner financing, and a lot of times what I'll do, I'll go out and what I tell you guys to do is to watch videos, YouTube, pretty much everything you want to know about anything is there in abundance. And I ran into a video that said 234 deals in 1 year. And so I watched it. And then I said, at the end of it, said you can reach out to Pace at, such and such on Instagram. Then when I went to the Instagram, I said, I met this guy. But I didn't realize it the whole time during the interview or whatever. How I realized I met you is when I think you have some pics with Jamil on your Instagram. And that's when I realized I met these guys or whatever. So, and they came here to Birmingham to a, what was that called? Like a round table or something for
it was a coaches conference.
Yeah. And they somehow wanted me to speak or whatever, to hear my 2 cents or whatever. But anyway, afterwards, during the break, we met and stuff. And I'm glad it circled back around, because I wish we connected before then, because that's been a few months ago or whatever. So with all that being said, how's it going, guys?
Well, you're playing it pretty lightly. The reality is both Jamil and I were big fanboys of yours. Yeah. And we were like begging for a minute of your time. You had a lineup of people wanting to meet with you. No. And out of 30 really, really popular guys in Birmingham, you were my favorite speaker. I was enamored with everything that you had to say.
Oh, wow. I appreciate that, man. I didn't think it went that way.
I appreciate you.
Yeah, you paved the way, man. The facts are you've been disseminating information, changing lives for a long time. And we're happy that you're having us on your show today. It's an honor.
No problem at all, guys. Trust me, I appreciate you more than because I'm really, we've talked a little bit about, what you got going on, but I'm going to dive into it a lot more. So let's just start with individually. Let's just start with your backgrounds, how you got into real estate, your education and all that stuff. And we'll go from there, just for as what you were doing before real estate until you got to the point where you are now. So.
All right, for me, starting out, so I'm pacejmorby. You can find me on Instagram, pacejmorby, really simple. I was a contractor for a really long time, and I was doing construction for Open Door, OfferPad, Zillow, all the big iBuyers that everybody knows about. I was their contractor. And so as these guys were going out, buying up all these houses, I was the guy that had, 160 to 170 employees doing all their renovations, watching them make money. And I was standing on the sidelines. And so over several years, I basically decided, man, enough with this. I'm going to jump into wholesale. And I started wholesaling. The first person I ever reached out to help me was my brother right here, Jamil.
Wow.
And in Phoenix, people call him the godfather of wholesale. And it's no joke. He's kind of the kingmaker in the sense that, like, you need help getting into this business, Jamil's the guy that helps you get into it, especially here locally. Now, what happened is I was running my construction company simultaneously while kind of jumping into wholesale. I had a really big customer file bankruptcy on me to the tune of about $1.1 million. And the day I got that letter, I was watching Steve Trang's show, and there was a creative financing guy on the show. And basically he was talking about mailbox money, forever money, you know, not just making money today, but making money for your future. And basically, doesn't matter what happens, you have that mailbox money. So I went on a path, not just as being a wholesaler, because I do a decent amount of wholesale deals. I probably do about 12 to 16 wholesale deals a month. But on top of that, I said, I don't want to be in that wholesale hamster wheel forever. I want to be able to build my long-term wealth. So Jamil, this is after 2 or 3 years of knowing Jamil. Jamil actually sold me my first Subject 2 deal at a Steve Trang meetup. He just walked right up to me. He goes, hey man, I know you've been trying to get into this business and you want to start buying these seller finance deals. I don't really know a lot about it, but I got a deal. And since then, I have bought a little over 120 Subject 2 houses, either Subject 2 or seller finance. And we currently hold over 50. So we accumulated 50 rental properties in less than a year.
Wow.
Those other 70 that I did, I either wholesaled them or we fixed and flipped them or whatever. But we bought 120 houses on terms, meaning I didn't have to get a loan. I didn't have to qualify. A lot of those, I didn't have to put any money out of my pocket for those, and they're cash flowing for me. And Jamil actually, in a weird way, is the one that got me penetrated into that deal. So Jamil and I collaborate together. We're competitors, in a lot of ways, fierce competitors, but we collaborate and show people that if you're not collaborating with your competitors in your own market, you're missing out on a lot of deals and a lot of power. And so that's where I currently am now. Is I do fix and flip. I develop mobile home parks. I do a lot of wholesale, but primarily I focus on acquiring rental properties by utilizing Subject 2 or seller finance method, where I don't come out of my own pocket to acquire cash flowing properties.
All right, Mr. Kingpin, what about you?
So I'm Jamil, guys. I am one of the co-founders of Keyglee, right over here. We're a volume wholesale operation. And so we typically do anywhere between 75 to 80 houses a month. We're in 12 markets. We're expanding nationally. We're about to franchise. Our main business model is helping wholesalers disposition their properties. And so what we saw happening was, you know, as this business grows, as people learn how to do acquisitions and get deals under contract, a common occurrence was cancellations, people not having real buyers, people not being able to sell at top dollar, really just putting themselves and the sellers in bad spots. And so what we did is we stood on the opposite side of the street, planted our flag and said, look, you bring us the deal, we'll get you more money than you would have been able to get for it, selling it yourself. And we built a business doing just that thing. And so today, you know, we have we do roughly, you know, between 750 to 1,000 deals a year. It's fantastic. It's a dream come true. I didn't start with any knowledge of real estate. In fact, my first deal, it was in 2002. It was a for rent by owner. And I put the pieces together without even having a complete understanding of what real estate or wholesale was, because there was nobody in the world teaching it. There were no Cody Sperber, there was no Ty Flipman, there was no Max Maxwell. It was a complete vacuum. And I had to basically connect the dots to do it. And so my first deal was really trying to solve a problem. A business partner of mine, I was in the business of selling websites back then in 2002 when the internet wasn't even a real thing. Well, it was, but no one cared about it. I was cold calling businesses out of the yellow pages, seeing if they wanted to buy a website from me for $600. And I saw my business partner having a conversation with his father, and they were talking about these development deals they were into. And I extrapolated from that they were looking for more building lots. And the next day, walking my dog, I just happened to stumble across a for rent by owner. I called that for rent by owner, found out what she'd be willing to sell for because she'd actually been trying to rent the property for a few months. That was my route to walk my dog. So I saw this thing sitting for a while. I ended up calling her. She told me she'd take $350 for the house. I went to my business partner, asked him how much his dad would pay. He said $400. So I realized I had a $50,000 problem that ultimately I solved, and it led me down this path of wholesaling, and my life has never been the same.
Wow. Oh, man, that's wow. Okay. Wow.
Yeah, I mean, for people that are outside of the keyglee 12 markets that they're in, it's hard to even realize how many deals these guys are doing on a monthly basis. I mean, here locally, this is how big of a deal keyglee is here locally in Phoenix. My team doesn't really even underwrite my own leads anymore. keyglee will underwrite my leads for me, and when I show up to an appointment or when somebody jumps on the phone, keyglee has already underwritten the deal and said, we can sell it at this price. Make sure you buy it at this price or lower. And so you have the power of probably 100-person operation at this point, underwriting deals for people in these 12 markets. And that's how they're doing so many deals. They're helping wholesalers know that they're buying at the right prices before they go contract, because there's so many new wholesalers. And you know this, Ty, I'm sure you get people that hit you up all the time in your local market, as they should. There's a lot of new wholesalers that go lock up contracts that they shouldn't be locking up. Yeah. And then they got to go back and retrade these sellers, which is obviously not the way any of us want to do business.
Correct. So to get into a couple of things I wanted to get into, and is the owner financing part of it, and then I want to we'll get into that first, because when I first got started, I was educated. The course that I bought, which was this was in 2003, and the course that I bought was from Ron LeGrand. But it was a recording from 1997. Wow! Right, and it's funny because he mentioned in it, and the internet was a little along its way by 2003. He said they got this thing called the internet now. You can even find houses there. It was funny, But in the package that I bought, it was about wholesaling houses, lease options, subject to, owner financing, fix and flip. And it was just everything, you know what I'm saying? As far as single family properties. So I went from knowing zero about real estate, investing in creative ways to invest in real estate without using your cash or credit.
It's crazy.
To just being bombarded with all of that information. So I really was confused in reality or whatever. But what stuck to me and fits my personality, and that's why I'm probably stuck in this keyhole that I am, which I'm getting out of it, is wholesaling, because I can put out some advertisement. People call me, either the numbers work or they don't. If they do, find a cash buyer, boom, I'm out of it. And that fits my personality because I'm an introvert or whatever. So I know it doesn't seem like it, but I am.
Funny, whatever. Like Ty would call himself an introvert.
Oh my God!
But meeting you personally, I could see that, right? Like,
you all picked it up. Okay, all right. So, but I like eating, as you can tell. So, hey, I have to do what I have to do.
We got to go get some chicken wings one day, bro.
Oh yeah, I'm coming to Phoenix, man. I'm coming. I need to come see you guys ASAP or whatever. So, but anyway. So with me, like I said, wholesaling stuck to me, and then it happened really fast for me too. I put out some signs on a Sunday morning. The next day, I get the first two calls. I get their deals. One of them is a wholesale deal, and the other one is a lease option deal. And one of them, my story. One of them blew up in my face, the lease option deal, but the wholesale deal went through, and I made $2,500. Not a lot of money in the scheme of things when it comes to real estate. But for someone that had failed at so many businesses before, it might as well have been $2.5 million.
Yeah, sure.
But I just needed to see that it worked, and the rest is history from there. So, but my point is that I've had plenty of owner financing opportunities over the 17 years that I've been doing this date of this video, and I just think about, man, all of the properties that I could probably have now, which I've done a couple over time, and most of them didn't turn out the way I wanted. Made some money, lost some money on them. So that's why I sort of shied away from it. But I'm just realizing, man, I was just being lazy or whatever in reality.
What if you kept one out of every 5 wholesale deals you did? What if you kept one? Where would you be right now?
Who knows?
Well, he might not even be on the show if he was doing that.
Yeah, I probably would never even. I don't even. That's a good question, man. Oh my God.
I tell people all the time. They go, "What's the difference between wholesale and subject to or creative finance?" And I said, if you want to lease a Lamborghini, get into wholesale. If you want to buy a Lamborghini, get into creative finance.
Yeah.
Or I tell people, hey, if you want to buy a Lamborghini, wholesale. If you want to keep that Lamborghini, get it. Because creative finance, what's amazing is you can get today money just like you can in wholesale, but then you create tomorrow money for indefinite amount of time, depending on what your exit strategy is. And so our model, we're primarily wholesalers because wholesale is what builds the stream of leads. And this is the thing: is a lot of your people on your show, Ty, they're wholesalers, right? They're going out and getting leads. They're they're utilizing Dealulator, which I love that, dealulator.com. They're utilizing all the wholesale tools that you and other guys out there are providing to people, but they're throwing a lot of the leads away that they've already paid for because they go, no equity, not enough pain, they want too much money. And when somebody calls me now and they say, hey, the seller wants full retail, I get more excited about a full retail deal than I do somebody wanting to sell at 60 cents on the dollar.
Explain.
So, and the reason being is because I don't buy based on value. I buy based on cash flow, right? So, for example, this is a story I tell all the time. I have a seller who owned the house free and clear. The house is probably worth 180, like max ARV is 180. I bought the house for $200,000. How in the hell and why in the hell would I ever do that? And the reason being is she gave me a payment. So she financed it to me.
0%?
0% interest.
Yep.
0% interest. I go, hey, if I paid 180, which is what she was asking at the time, if I paid 180, would you give me terms back to me? And she says, I'd be interested, but I don't know what that means. And so I told her this story, and you'll hear me say this story on almost every show I go on. I told her a story that relates to cars, and it makes it easier for you to understand how this works. So I had a 2001 Ford F-150. I drove it for a long time. My construction crews used it. And one day I decided, hey, we're done with this truck. It's starting to have a little bit of problems. I want to sell it. So I go, I'm going to put it on Craigslist for $10,000. But before I do that, I go on Kelley Blue Book and I find out that truck's only worth $5,000. Well, you know what? I'm a belligerent asshole. So what I did is I put the truck on Craigslist for $10,000 anyway to see if I would even get any offers, which is really similar to a lot of our sellers that we talk to. Is they just put their house out, or they're trying to force a number that doesn't even make sense, but they've got some mental thing that tells them their house is worth that $200,000, right? So what I did is that truck sat in my driveway for about 3 months. My wife comes to me and she goes, why don't you just take payments on the truck and see if anybody will pay the $10,000? And I'm like, okay, that's really smart. So what I did is I put it back on Craigslist and I said, $10,000 will take payments. I ended up selling that truck for $12,000 that was only worth $5,000. The guy who ended up buying it from me paid me $200 a month. He took that truck and he owned a painting company so he could go provide for his family. He didn't care how much the ultimate price was. He cared that he could go make money off of what he bought from me. Mm-hmm. So it's the same thing with me. So this lady says, I want 180. I go, if I come up to your 180, will you give me terms? Will you allow me to make payments that I can pay you $1,000 a month and I can rent it out for $1,500 a month and I can cash flow $500? She says, yes, but what interest rate? And I go, well, Polly, I would much rather just pay you $20,000 over the price of the house and do a 0% because, interest confuses me. Which it doesn't, but it confuses most everybody else. So she ended up selling it to me on terms at $200,000, $1,000 a month, and I ended up turning around and renting that out for about $1,550 a month. So I make $550 a month cash flow, and the $1,000 a month I pay to her pays down the $200,000 mortgage 100% every single month.
Wow!
Crazy. So that's a deal that no other wholesaler could have made work, and now I'm building generational wealth. I have today money, right? And then I have tomorrow money stacking behind the scenes. I call that the silent savings account.
Boom. All right.
And the thing is, Jamil, like over at Keyglee, you imagine how many wholesalers that you deal with, Ty, and how many wholesalers Jamil is dealing with, that if they just knew this one little secret, they could literally double their deal flow.
Triple. I say that at least 1 out of every 3 leads is a price thing.
Right.
It's like, no, we're not going to be able to do the deal because we can't come to terms about price.
Mm-hmm.
And having this additional opportunity or this additional way to structure a deal in your tool belt, it changes the entire game, right? And so I think it's massively important for people to understand it's something that's not terribly hard to do. Guys like Pace, I mean, he's been able to figure out how to do this in such a way that he can explain it to a seller like, elementary math. Mm-hmm. And I think that's the key, right? Being able to articulate the concepts in such a way that the seller understands what you're doing and you get yourself in a good spot. I mean, look, that seller that he's talking about that he paid $200 to where her house is worth $180, she thinks she got one over on him. We need our sellers to feel like that all the time.
Yes.
Wow.
The thing is, you feel like a ninja when you go in and all your competition has gone in this house and they're offering the same seller 120 grand for 180 a house, right? Because that's what the wholesale number would be. I go in there, I can solve all her problems, give her more money. At the end of the day, she's going to be happier. And then she doesn't have to pay a big, fail swoop of taxes. We can structure it in a way that kind of saves her money as well. Everybody wins.
Yep.
And my kids are the ones that benefit the most because now I've got an asset that somebody else paid off for me.
Okay. On that, do you normally, you got her to owner finance, seller finance the property to you? A couple of things, condition of a property and what determines when you'll pay retail, along with what the other side of it, when will you owner or finance or do a wrap with someone on the property, as far as not becoming a landlord, but giving that individual ownership, and then you charging them interest, which it may be over a 30-year term or whatever. So, so there are a couple of ways to go about it, I guess is what I'm saying. As far as number one, condition, I'm assuming if she was asking 180, it was in pretty good condition, right?
Yeah, I mean, it was actually in mint condition, that house, okay. Which doesn't happen that often. Most of the houses that I'm taking over, they need between $5,000 to $10,000 to make them rent ready.
That one I sold you, what was that? What did you need to put into that one?
Oh, actually, so the one on Virginia, I just got paid my payment, by the way. I get $600 a month on that deal.
Amazing.
What I did on that deal, the one that Jamil sold me on Virginia, is I needed $22,000 to get into that deal, okay? Wow. And Ty, I call that the entry fee. Okay, the entry fee is cash to the seller, cash to and maybe some arrears, cash to the guy who sold me the deal, closing costs, renovation, marketing costs, and like the first month's payment as I'm cleaning up the property. Well, at the time, I remember I just got filed bankruptcy on about a year and a half ago. I didn't have $22,000 in free cash, right? So what I did is I sold it to a lady named Maria, and she brought in $28,000 and I wrapped it to her. So I made $6,000 up front, today money. Mm-hmm. And then I wrapped higher amount of money to her. So I actually have a net cash flow every month of $600. And the reason I made that decision is because I, at the time, did not have enough money to do that myself. So I leveraged the person I wrapped it to as them bringing the down payment.
I just want to point out that what he just described was wholesaling a seller finance deal.
Right.
Which is like a backflip ninja trick, star to the eye. That's the way. If you could do all of your wholesale transactions with the $10,000 wholesale fee and then $300 a month or $500 a month in forever money, I don't know what's better.
So yeah. My favorite disposition channel, there's 8 disposition channels. So there's like Airbnb, group homes, rentals, lease options, wraps, and then wholesaling, which is what Actually, Jamil and I are partnering up right now on wholesaling subject twos nationwide. So we're trying to create a big network. Maybe we can utilize dealulator.com as well to put some of those deals on. But I just got a deal the other day where I paid $1,200 in closing costs and that house was mine. That's it. So if I'm a wholesaler and I'm, making some money, $10,000, $15,000 a month, I could basically accumulate 1 to 2 houses a month that I don't wrap out. I actually keep them for myself for cash flow. So the photo of the house I sent you yesterday, I paid $1,200 in closing costs. That house is mine, and that house cash flows $900 a month. Crazy.
All right. Speaking of that,
yeah,
going into it, let me pull it up. This is the house that he's referring to.
Yeah.
So, okay, let's go back over then. How did you get a house for free? If you could take us through this.
Here's how I got it. The seller, getting a divorce, she no longer can afford her payment. So instead of falling behind on payments and basically losing her house, she said, look, I only now have one income. My husband's gone. I need to get rid of my house. The problem is they had just refinanced it the year before that. So how much equity do you think they had? None. So they met with real estate agents. This happens all the time. So anybody on your show that wants to learn how to get these leads, go to expired listings and you'll find out people that couldn't sell through a real estate agent. The wholesalers, couldn't buy because there's no equity. That's how we all make money on wholesale. And so we got her through a cold call lead and we recognized there's no equity. So we went to her and said, well, what can we do to structure this? She goes, I just want to get out of it. I know I can't afford it. And I go, okay, well, why wouldn't you just rent it out yourself? And she goes, well, because I'm not a real estate investor. That's not what I do for a living. I wouldn't know the first thing about renting it out. So what we basically did for her is we structured a deal with her that after year 1, we pay her $1,000 a year. That's it for the next 3 years. So she'll get $3,000 for us getting her house. How am I paying for that $1,000? It's coming out of my cash flow on the house. So here's what we did. I got a contract. I did close of escrow 45 days later, which gave her time to move out and then gave me time to market for a renter. I had the renter pay me first month's deposit and second month's plus a pet fee. The first month and second month covered my first month's mortgage, obviously on the house because I took it over, and it covered my closing costs. I got my renter to pay my closing costs with their deposit. Now I own the house free and clear. The house was move-in ready. Renter moved in on February 1st, and I'm $0 out of pocket on that deal, and I'll make $900 a month on that deal.
Boom. Wow, just like that.
And the thing is, there are so many deals like that.
Tons.
There are more deals creatively than there are wholesale deals.
Oh yeah. I've mentioned that over the years is that, you can find owner finance deals much faster. Well, I was referring to lease option. I was someone because I get a lot of questions about that. Faster you can find a wholesale deal because being deeply discounted is not a key factor and normally not at all or whatever. So it just, will the owner accept the terms that fit, which will allow you to make money. Just to get into keyglee a little bit, Jamil, explain how long you all have been doing that. And I think you said you're in 8 markets now?
So we're in 12 markets actually. 12 markets. We've been doing it for just around 4 years. And we franchised this year. So around March, our company will be selling our first franchises nationwide. I'm super excited about that. So essentially, if you want to learn how we do our acquisitions, figure out how we do our dispositions, and get a keyglee list in your market to be able to just crush, helping other wholesalers out as well, that'll be an opportunity that'll come around the corner here very soon.
How did that come about? How did the whole concept come about or whatever?
That's a damn good question.
First time I've ever been asked that.
I've been traveling the country with this guy for almost a year, and nobody's asked that question. I freaking love that question.
It's great. So I was a lone wolf when I started. I was really talented at being able to have people send me their deals because I created a little bit of a shroud of mystery around me. I would talk to real estate agents. I talked to wholesalers. I talked to investors. And I told everybody, look, I've got some cash. I want to buy your deals, but I need you to do me a favor. I want you to never tell anyone who I am. And because of that, I made myself a little bit more appealing to the people I was working with. So I was having this massive influx of deals coming to me as just a lone guy.
Well, what year was this?
This was 2012, 2013. So a lone wolf in the Phoenix market, which isn't really a safe place to be alone, because it's just full of so many hitters out here. And I needed help selling my deals. So there were these two young guys that I had an opportunity to meet we were actually packing sandwiches for homeless people. And these two young guys had come to do some service, and I took my family to do some service, and we run into each other.
No.
Yeah.
This is how you met your partners?
That's how I met Josiah and Hunter.
What?
And so we're at a sandwich.
Wait a minute. Say that again. What happened?
We met at a sandwich packing party. So
Okay.
we were making peanut butter and jelly sandwiches and packing them in lunch bags for homeless people for the next day. And I meet these two young guys. Hunter at the time is 19 years old. Josiah is 22 years old. And, they had heard a little bit about me. They said, I heard you do a bunch of deals. And I was trying to just be humble and not say too much. And I said yes. And they asked me, how many did you do this month? And that month I had done 14. And both of their eyes lit up and they thought, wow, that's crazy. This guy did 14 deals this month. And I barely know anything about him. Well, they said, we'd love an opportunity to help you out. We've built a really, really strong buyers list, and we can typically sell deals for a little bit more money than you might be able to get. And so my regular channel of dispositions was on a yacht and wasn't answering my calls. And so I called the two kids and I gave them a try. And I sent them my deal, sent them an option agreement so they could market it. And about 30 minutes later, I got a call that they had sold it. And I did it again. And 30 minutes after I sent them the second house, they sold it. And I said, there's something to what these guys are doing.
Wow.
And for a year, we loosely worked together in that formality. So I would get deals under contract, I'd hand it to the boys. The boys would send them out and sell them for, 5 or 10 grand more than I would have been able to get. So I'm making more money. There's no loss to me. So we end up deciding that we need to work together. I brought my acquisition skills and the things that I had done to generate leads. They brought their data and their data mining skills to the table, and we formed Keyglee, and we haven't looked back since.
Oh, wow. Can you name those markets off the top of your head?
You sold a deal for me.
So we just sold a deal for Pacer right now. He's got a DocuSign in his phone. So I'm doing deals right now while we're doing the podcast. I don't even know what's happening.
Can you name those markets off the top of your head? Absolutely.
So we're in Phoenix, Tucson, Tampa, Orlando, Jacksonville, Houston, Dallas, Salt Lake City, Atlanta, Georgia, and where am I missing? Las Vegas. Did I say Las Vegas? Yeah.
No, you didn't.
At Las Vegas, and I got one more. I don't want to make that market feel bad, but yeah, we're in 12, and I can't even name them all.
Wow. Okay. What determines a market or not? I know you're about to do franchising, but what determines a selection of a market?
The best.
I love that.
So what the markets that we went into, we chose based off of population and what type of state they are. So outside of Florida, Florida is the only judicial state that we operate in. But we typically like to operate in trustee states because the access to private money and hard money is a lot more prevalent, where you can foreclose faster, which is what you can do in a trustee state. So our initial market rollouts happened because we wanted to play in markets that had high population densities and were in trustee states. And that was our initial, those were the initial factors that we were paying attention to. Now, because we're franchising, we have to be in smaller markets. But that just means that we're dialing in our capacity to build our lists a lot more concentrated.
Wow. Okay. And so it really, obviously you could generate the leads or whatever. And when you met these guys by accident, basically, or fate, however you want to look at it, they have a unique or an edge on generating buyers list that will buy and pay more than probably what most other wholesalers are dealing with.
Absolutely. And I'll give a little bit of an explanation into that, and a free tip to guys out there trying to find better buyers. So one of the things that we do to find a good buyer avatar is step outside of the real estate investment industry, right? So cash buyers, the reason why there's a downward pressure on wholesale fees or assignment fees is because cash buyers tend to be fix and flippers. Their profit margin depends on them being able to buy the property for less. And that means that your interests aren't in alignment. And so what we do is we step outside that buy box and we say, who else would be interested in buying real estate? Then we look at industries with high net worth people like doctors, lawyers, accountants, and we look at prominent publications that people in those industries would read. So we set up a social media profile and we'll say, okay, this social media profile, let's call him, Pace Max Pace. Max Pace's social media profile, he likes the Journal of Applied Psychology, the American Medical Association Journal, and Ferrari, Rolex, and Lamborghini, right? So now we know that we've got an individual who likes medical publications and luxury items. High likelihood that we're talking to a doctor. So then that social media profile would submit an outreach message to this buyer and say, we are in the business of finding distressed property at a discount. Would you be interested in a property that's, say, 80 cents on the dollar that can cash flow in our market? 9 times out of 10, the answer to that question is yes. And that's how we build our relationship. We actually have an entire section of our business where we've got 15 staff members whose only job it is to build our lists. Wow. That's amazing, my man. So I assume if you're targeting people that want cash flow to become landlords, I guess, do you have to add an additional layer where they, because they're not in real estate, as you say, do you have to add that additional layer of property management, or you just refer? We don't. The liabilities in property management are really, really high, especially here in Phoenix. And so we just refer that business to property managers who know how to do it well, and everybody helps everyone. And that for us is the end of it. I got you. And so getting into them having to renovate the property and all that stuff, you leave that, you may refer them to some individuals on that also. And I guess the property management company may have those type of connections or whatever also. Absolutely. And in fact, we used to refer this guy right over here. Pace, like he had mentioned earlier, was one of our favorite general contractors in town. But yeah, there's a ton of people out there that want the business and need the business. And if they're good dudes and you can vouch for their character, it really goes a long way in helping your buyer be able to not get ripped off. Are you prepared to give out the details on your franchises as far as the fees, what do they call it? The fee that they pay you all for being a franchisee as far as on each deal? Are you prepared to provide that information, or that's down the road? I could provide it, but I don't think the federal government would want me to say anything until we have approval. So okay. I've got to hang on to that answer, but I will give that answer to your viewers very soon. And what I'll do is, if you're okay with it, Ty, I'll come back into the comments later on, and when I'm able to provide more detail on that, I'll drop a comment. And if your viewers are interested in reaching out, they can do that. Oh, no question, no problem at all, man. Now, as far as what you guys do, I know you're heavy on social media. That's part of the reason we know each other or whatever is when you came and spoke to me and, see how this YouTube stuff came about or whatever, or you listened to me talk about it anyway at that particular meeting. Just go into what you guys offer as far as content that can help people and so on, as what you all have going.
So I've got a private Facebook group that's all about creative financing, and we're trying to build a creative financing community nationwide with the top producers and also people who have never done a deal. And every single day we're providing content, we're underwriting deals, we're showing live broadcasts and interviews, and we're doing recordings with sellers of how we approach and how we pitch a seller finance or a subject to a seller. I take those voice recordings and actually put those in that private Facebook group. And then I'm heavy on Instagram. I think that's like where I live. And other than that, that's it, man. I don't really do anything but provide content and help people out.
He's missing. Every Sunday he does a show called Sunday Service with him and his business partner Cody Barton. What they do is they essentially, and I was lucky to be a guest on it last week. What they'll do is they break down their business of the week. So they'll go through and see what deals they did last week, how they got the deal, how they funded it, how they sold it, what they did. Was it a wholesale deal? Was it a seller finance? So they literally lift the veil on their operation to the public so that everybody can see it, and they do that for free. And every Monday night, Pace and I do a show together on Facebook Live called Wholesale Hotline.
Hotline Bling.
Hotline Bling, baby. And what we do is we got two top guys that know how the business rolls and have been through the pitfalls and the victories. And we give out our cell phone number, and randos just call us and ask us all the questions that they have about wholesale, and we answer them to the best of our knowledge and ability.
Dude, I had a call today, like 20 minutes before you got here, from a guy who goes, "Hey, am I on the hotline right now?" I'm like, "Bro, it's Monday nights at 5 p.m.
It's so fun.
All right, man. That's what's up, man. Before we close this out, man, put all your contact information out there as far as the Facebook group, your social media and whatever, man, because I know people are going to want to connect with you, and I'll have it in the description of this video and in the comment section also.
So my Instagram is JDAMJI. JDAMJI, that's JDAMJI. You can find me there. You can also find me on Facebook at Jamil Damji, JamilDamji. DM me. I actually respond to DMs. I love it when people reach out and talk to me and tell me their thoughts. I'm even okay if you troll me. I've been trolled a little bit lately, and that's fine. Just talk. Do something. Don't just sit on the sidelines and not reach out. If you got questions, I want to be the guy that helps you, push through it.
Pacer. Hey, and since you're launching this broadcast today, for anybody that is coming out to Atlanta, we are going to be speaking at Max Maxwell's event Friday and Saturday, basically our tour called Pace and Jamil Do America.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Where we talk about collaboration and how to build your business with your competitors. And then we are going to be doing a meetup at midnight in Atlanta in front of the Outcast mural in 5 Points. We're going to get like 50 to 100 people there and just take a big group photo. So if you guys are coming out to Atlanta to Max's event, come hang out with us. Let's go get some lemon pepper wings and hang out.
Mm-hmm. And your social space? You haven't given them?
Pace Morby on Instagram. PACEMORBY. Pace Morby.
Okay, boom. So you guys are going to be in my vicinity. It's only 2 hours from Birmingham.
Yeah,
I may roll over, man.
Oh, dude, if you came out, my head might just explode.
No.
Yeah, man.
Oh, man. All right, so what? Well, we'll talk about that off air. I was going to ask what, but anyway. So, all right. So, yeah, man. So, man, I really appreciate you guys sharing all this information. I think we need to do more of this if you guys are interested, because you'll have a side of it that that I haven't ventured into. Because being able to, you're the ultimate virtual wholesaler, right? Just on like a whole nother planet, like from Bizarro world or something or whatever. So, but yeah, so we got to do more of this, man. We'll talk it up or whatever. I'm pretty sure you guys are going to get hit up pretty good. So I guess you're good with that or whatever, because you put all your social media out there and stuff, and the different platforms you have your information. So before we close this particular video out, anything else you guys want to share before we do so?
I've been telling people you've got to do one of two things. You've either got to get better or you've got to get creative. And if you're not getting better at wholesale, then you need to get creative so you stop losing leads and you start building generational wealth. So get better or get creative.
And for me, just stop leaving money on the table, guys. If you're wholesaling houses and you want to maximize your profits, reach out to Keyglee. We will help you crush it.
Oh, good question. Well, bringing that up, because I'm thinking about just thinking here. If someone reaches out to, I know you're in those 12 markets, but I know you got to have investors that invest outside of their market or whatever. If someone reaches out to you, with a particular property, what's the process like on that or whatever. So all of those people that didn't stick around, they probably gonna miss the most important part of this video.
It's the white glove treatment, my man. So hit me up on social media. We will respond. We will underwrite your deal if it's in a market we're not in. Keyglee's gotten kind of a bigger profile these days, and we've got guys reaching out to us from all across the country. I'm not just taking deals in the markets we're in. We're looking at everything nationwide. You will see what a white glove treatment looks like when you actually reach out to us. My reps walk you through the business. We talk about splits. We talk about numbers. It's like you like Pace said, he doesn't even want to sell his own houses anymore. It's brain damage for him. He just lets us help him out, and he keeps it crushing and keeps it moving.
Oh, that's what's up. That's what's up, man. So again, guys, I really, really appreciate you guys sharing this information. As I always say, we will see you on the flip side.
Thank you so much, brother. Appreciate you.
Appreciate you.
All right, no problem, man.
Flip man, it's the flip man. You want some money in your hand? Flipping houses without credit or your cash. Get that bag.